Good evening. A British man's been killed in Ukraine and a second is missing, the Foreign Office has confirmed tonight. It's thought the man who died is Scott Sibley, a 36-year-old former British commando who'd been fighting as a volunteer supporting Ukrainian forces. It comes a week after 2 British fighters were captured by Russian forces. President Putin today warned the West against pumping weapons and military support to Ukraine, saying it would threaten European security. Rebecca Barry reports from Ukraine.
Much loved, say his family. Scott Sibley believed to be the first British casualty of this war. The Foreign Office confirming a British man has been killed in Ukraine and another is missing. Paying tribute, a friend said Scott was a son, father, brother and uncle. To me, he was a friend like no other and the bravest person I've had the pleasure to have known. When Russia invaded, Ukraine's president called on foreign fighters to come here and stand side by side with Ukrainians. Despite the advice from the UK government not to travel, we know many responded to that call. This is the brutality the people of Ukraine face every day. Here in Zaporizhia, they're clearing up after a rocket strike today. At least 3 people, including a child, were reportedly killed here. Today, the head of the UN, Antonio Guterres, came to Ukraine to see the destruction for himself, visiting towns Borodyanka and Bucha, where there have been allegations of war crimes.
I imagine my family in one of those houses that is now destroyed and black. The war is an absurdity in the 21st century. The war is evil.
Scott Sibley's death is yet another example of how this conflict is spilling over borders, its impact reaching far across Europe and the world.
Well, Rebecca is in Lviv for us tonight. And Rebecca, this really does show the danger that people put themselves in when they do decide to volunteer to fight in Ukraine.
Yeah, when the war broke out, President Zelensky made that impassioned call to arms for foreign fighters to join in the defence of Europe. And contrary to UK government advice, it's thought that thousands of foreign fighters did come here. Just today, here in Lviv, I met 3 of them, among them a British man who'd recently left the British Army, who said he felt compelled to come here to play his part. Last month, he was at that military base near the border with Poland that you might remember was hit by cruise missiles. Russia claimed to have killed 180 foreign fighters there. Then earlier this month, 2 British men who'd come here to fight were captured by Russian forces. And today, the news that a British man has been killed. So a stark reminder that the dangers of this conflict, as the people of Ukraine know all too well, are very real indeed.
OK, Rebecca, thanks very much. Well, this is the situation on the ground at the moment. Neither side has made significant gains in the past 24 hours, but the Russians are continuing to attack south from Izium, hoping to cut off Ukraine's forces in the Donbass. To the north, the Ukrainian army is pushing east from Kharkiv, trying to block one of the Russians' key supply routes. Among the places they've liberated along the way is the village of Malarohan. It was one of the first places captured after the invasion. ITV News found civilians there who'd survived weeks under Russian occupation. And from there, our senior international correspondent, John Irvine, sent this special report.
Russian artillery has lit a fire on the edge of a much fought-over village just outside Kharkiv. Malarohan is less than an hour's drive from the Russian border and was captured by the invasion force on the 2nd day of the war. They occupied it for more than a month before an intense battle saw the Ukrainians take it back. While most of the villagers fled, some have stayed here throughout, and that requires tremendous courage. For while Malarohan is liberated from the Russians, it's not from the war. Don't be afraid, Yuri tells me.
You're much more experienced than me, obviously.
We've got used to it. That's outgoing, he adds. During one salvo, a Russian shell exploded just a few feet away, striking the roof on his carport. Yuri said that afterwards he counted 72 holes in his Lada.
Why do you stay here?
Почему вы остались, никуда не поехали? А некуда ехать. Там, где у меня еще один дом, там они сейчас стоят. И туда уже не проедешь. Это вот, 50 километров отсюда. Поэтому я отсюда... Там дом целый, а здесь дом развалило.
These are other villagers who stayed. They tried to direct us to things they thought we should see.
We're listening to a salvo of Grad rockets. The Russian positions are only about 10 kilometers from here, and those are the Ukrainian army sending some rockets their way.
During the battle for Malorohan, the Ukrainians destroyed one of the most feared Russian attack helicopters. The villagers said the Ka-52 Alligator spent too long on the ground and was hit by Ukrainian tank fire.
The Ukrainians don't want us to show their artillery positions for obvious reasons, but as you can probably hear, they're quite close by. What was it like when the Russians occupied this village?
Это было очень тяжело и очень страшно. Каждый день, когда выходишь на улицу, думаешь, прилетит, не прилетит. На самом деле, ребята, очень страшно.
How did they behave? How did they conduct themselves?
Как они себя вели? Как они относились к местному населению?
К местному населению мы знаем точно, что местные жители прятали в школе, в подвале. Вот. Они здесь были. Один зашел с автоматом, начал стрелять. Вот. Нашел девочку и повел ее на второй этаж. Вот. Сами понимаете, что он с ней делал.
Malorohan is a piggy-in-the-middle village in what has become a static, grinding war, which means Yuri and the others living here may still have much to endure. John Irvine, ITV News, Eastern Ukraine.